What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Gabos, and we back with another one. Remember, subscribe is the vibe, my boy. Your boy's on the road to 4K, humbly. If you're old to the channel, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit both. We got part 2 of the NFL's most wanted, the most evil players in NFL history. Yeah, enough chatting. Let's react.
As far or as hard as former NFL star Aaron Hernandez.
This is New Time. We are following breaking news as we continue to track the potential connections between a North Attleboro homicide investigation and New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez.
We have new information on the homicide investigation in North Attleboro, which has thrown Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez into the spotlight.
Eyewitness News has new video which shows Hernandez arriving at his attorney's office in Boston earlier today. The football star has not been charged with anything, but he's reportedly not being ruled out in the investigation.
CBS News is reporting that LLOYD was dating the sister of Aaron Hernandez's fiance.
The hands that caught so many touchdown passes in handcuffs today as he was
So
led into
crazy
court,
seeing him like
charged
that.
with the brutal murder of his friend LLOYD.
Hernandez had gotten into a fight with the bar manager over 2 drinks Hernandez maintained he hadn't ordered. Instead, according to authorities, Hernandez punched the manager so hard his eardrum burst.
On former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez, under investigation for yet another crime.
This as a brand new investigation has been launched into his possible involvement in 2 other murders last year.
Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2013-9A3-A, charging the defendant Aaron Hernandez with murder. What say you, Madam Foreperson? Is the defendant not guilty, guilty of murder in the 1st degree, or guilty of murder in the 2nd degree?
The hell? Oh, this is the part where he was in the crib. What part is this? Oh, just random surveillance? Got my boy lacking, man. Little did he know these were going to be his final days as a free man. Shit is crazy. Look at all these surveillance cameras that they had following this dude. They have the timestamp. They have his location. Like, it's like we were there that day, yo. Had the cameras in the crib. Never recovered this shit.
Teams have played, they just simply have no answer for him. Antrell roll on him now, going to try and jam him off the line of scrimmage.
Second and a deuce.
Crazy.
And over the middle, getting free. Touchdown, Hernandez.
Just playing in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, bro.
Can't do that.
Way to get us started. That's what I'm talking about. That's why we got you.
Catching a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl would mark the high point for Hernandez's career in the NFL. Coming out of college, Hernandez was touted as one of the best receiving tight ends of the 2010 draft. However, due to his off-the-field issues during his time with the Florida Gators, he fell to the 4th round and was drafted by the
crazy. He was really a first-round pick.
The youngest player in the National Football League.
At a bar, the 17-year-old Aaron Hernandez was eating with fellow teammate and quarterback Tim Tebow. At the conclusion of the meal and drinks, Hernandez refused to pay, and as Hernandez was being escorted out of the restaurant, he turned and punched the owner, rupturing his eardrum. The police quickly responded and wanted to charge Hernandez with felony battery. However, the Florida Gators defense attorney was able to settle this incident out of court.
AKA buyout. Hush money. Hush money.
Later that year, at a nightclub
winning
in
football
Miami,
games is more important than
3
prosecuting
men
criminals.
left the club. They were stopped at a light a few blocks away when an unknown assailant approached the car.
Maybe that early visit to the penitentiary could have saved them, you know. Maybe not, but, you know, settling it outside of court didn't exactly help out Aaron Hernandez in the long run, man. It should have been important for him to have faced his consequences, the actions behind his consequences at a very young age, so he could have shaped up and shaped out by the time he was in the league. But
and fired several
all these
rounds,
guys care about is winning games.
The driver and passenger, but leaving the rear passenger unharmed. Corey Smith was in a coma for 2 days, while the passenger Justin Glass was shot in the arm. Randall Kaysen, the rear passenger, saw the perpetrator and claimed that there had been in fact 2 people. The triggerman, which he described as a Hawaiian or Hispanic male who had a large muscular build, stood about 6'3" or 6'4" and weighed about 230 or 240 pounds and had a lot of tattoos. And a black male, which he identified as Reggie Nelson, a teammate of Hernandez and future Jacksonville Jaguar and Cincinnati Bengal. Both Hernandez and Nelson had in fact been at the nightclub that same night. Kaysen also told investigators that his older brother, who was shot in the driver's seat, had gotten into an intense altercation with the Florida Gators team earlier that week. Reggie Nelson disclosed to investigators that earlier that night, Hernandez had told Nelson that Kaysen had snatched one of the Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, gold chain. All the Florida players called in for questioning readily talked with the detectives, except Hernandez. Hernandez declined to speak to the police and invoked his right to counsel. Police later stated that neither Nelson nor Hernandez were suspects, and the incident was soon forgotten. The Patriots had a reputation for acquiring players with off-field issues and indoctrinating them into the Patriot way. Hernandez's rookie contract was structured in a way that would incentivize discipline and walking on the straight and narrow. Hernandez was in the perfect situation to succeed. Soon Hernandez would become one of the most lethal receiving threats in the NFL.
Bro had the GOAT as his quarterback, playing for the GOAT coach.
The Patriots, however, had drafted a tight end earlier that same draft.
Gronk.
Gets up and moves still forward.
Yo, I'm not even gonna hold you. With the arrival of Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, that was kind of like a different era of football, almost at basketball. We ran a double tight end offense. We still had Randy Moss. This was like the second year of Randy on New England. So we were kind of fading out of using him in the weapons. And the vocal point of the offense was Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. Like, never have we ever seen a combination of such strength, size, and speed with Rob. And Aaron kind of had like a wide receiver element to his game. Like, he was like a hybrid. Decent blocker, but great route runner and great hands. These dudes used to chew up the middle. The league couldn't do anything with him until, Tom ran into the Giants, and the Giants had something to do with it. But, like, Aaron was in the best case scenario, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, great organization, great quarterback, decent money, just signed a new deal. And like this, I'm pretty sure like it hit most of you guys when news broke out, but this kind of hit like a ton of bricks. Like, there was like no way you thought this was really true. No way.
Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez would form to be the greatest tight end tandem in recent history.
Yeah, bro. They couldn't do nothing with those two. Couldn't do nothing with those two, bro. And Wes Welker.
On July 16th, 2012, 2 men were ambushed and executed in cold blood. And at the center of this tragic shooting would be none other than Aaron Hernandez. According to surveillance footage, Hernandez and another man, Alexander Bradley, went into the Boston nightclub at about 12:30 a.m. on July 16, 2012, shortly after the shooting victims went into the club. Hernandez quickly downed 2 drinks, and he and Bradley left after about 10 minutes. Surveillance video then showed Hernandez driving a Toyota 4Runner with Bradley as a passenger. The footage then shows the victims leaving the club at about 2:10 a.m., and Hernandez' SUV passing by them twice as they walk to a parking garage to get their car. The victims then drive off, and the SUV soon follows suit. The men, now stopped at a light, look over to see an SUV pull up next to them. A man in the back of the SUV began to yell racial slurs at the victims, who were of Hispanic origin, and fired several shots at the vehicle, killing 2 and driving off.
Damn.
At a club in Florida, Hernandez was with a couple of friends, celebrating when they noticed 2 suspicious individuals across the club. Hernandez's paranoia had gotten worse throughout his tenure in the NFL, and he believed that the 2 men were undercover cops. A friend of Hernandez, Alexander Bradley, was there with him that night, and after informing Bradley about the 2 men, Bradley responded by saying that they may be tracking us for the double murder that happened outside of the club in 2012. On their way home from the club, Bradley would doze off and awake with Hernandez pointing a gun straight at him. Early the following day, the manager of a John Deere store found him outside, bleeding from his head and hand. Miraculously, Bradley had survived the point-blank shooting. When medics and police arrived, Bradley refused to talk to them and ID that Hernandez was the shooter. This was personal, and Bradley wanted revenge. Over the next few months, hundreds of texts would be exchanged between Hernandez and Bradley, ranging from death threats to extortion. At one point, Hernandez offered up to $1.5 million for Bradley to keep quiet. Bradley later filed a civil lawsuit, and the case was settled for an undisclosed amount.
Offer me 1.5. I'm not taking no $100,000 lawsuit.
As the former pro football player faced a judge just hours after the New England Patriots released him from the team. Hernandez is now accused of killing Lloyd just a few days after they got into an argument at a nightclub.
Like his girlfriend's sister's husband or fiance?
A Massachusetts State Police helicopter circling in the air over Aaron Hernandez's home in North Attleboro. State police troopers gearing up along the side of a road nearby.
Florida Gator.
This right here became so iconic because I'll never forget when I was watching like First Take and like the ticker came up like Aaron Hernandez wanted in like a murder investigation, and then the title changed to Aaron Hernandez is wanted for murder. New England released him, and you seen this photo? Oh man.
Football star Aaron Hernandez in jail tonight, charged.
That's when it kind of hit everybody.
And the death of a semi-pro football player. 27-year-old ODIN LLOYD was found dead on June 17th, less than a mile from Hernandez's
Ladies
home.
and gentlemen, on June 16th of 2013, at just after 9 p.m., the defendant was leaving his home in North Attleboro with his fiancée, Cheyenne James. He texted ODIN LLOYD. He told ODIN LLOYD that he, the defendant, Aaron Hernandez, was going to come up to his house that night.
The trial had now started for the murder of ODIN LLOYD. Hernandez was charged with first-degree murder and 5 gun-related charges. After Hernandez was arrested,
that's life without parole,
he would be
yo.
released by the Patriots approximately 90 minutes later. Almost the entire event of ODIN LLOYD's murder would be mapped out with CCTV footage, much of which was Hernandez's own home camera, which he had installed as his paranoia continued to heighten.
They used his own surveillance to nail him. Crazy, huh?
Hernandez texts Lloyd saying he wants to meet up. Immediately after sending those texts, he texts 2 of his other friends to come to his house ASAP. Hernandez is then seen on home surveillance holding a gun in his hand and kisses his young daughter before leaving in the Nissan Altima with the 2 friends.
You see, this is the shit that I'm talking about, bro. Like, I don't have no kids, so I can't really attest to how it is to be a father. But, like, you seen that moment just now? Like, he's walking past his fiance,
Hernandez
right?
is then
Burner in his hand. Burner clearly highlighted right here in his hand. You know what I mean? He's about to go through with this mission, right? But before he goes through, he makes sure to do this.
Seen on home surveillance holding a gun in his hand and kisses his young daughter before leaving.
And it's like right here, bruh. You would think any common sense thinking man like would just say like, yo, I'm holding my child in my hand. This should be my #1 priority. This should make me want to stay home tonight. Like, let's not go through with it. Maybe I'm liquored up. maybe I'm a little angry. I feel disrespected. Maybe I'm not myself. So let me, for all intents and purposes, put the things that matter ahead of me right now, which is your family, bro. Your multi-million-dollar crib, your beautiful wife, your kid, and in the mind of a killer, you're just thinking, yo, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I gotta handle something. Because whatever you gotta handle is more important than just like the simple things. Like staying home and watching TV, bro. He makes the decision to stay home and watch TV. Where are we 10 years later? Where are we? Like, I'm pretty sure this kid doesn't end up dead. It's the decisions we make, permanent decisions we make based off of temporary emotions. Like, you see it time and time again, bro. You see it time and time again. He had every opportunity to change his mind and not go through with this dummy mission. Well, the rest is history, huh?
Leaving in the Nissan Altima with the two friends. At 2:10 a.m., Hernandez is seen on surveillance at a gas station, where he is seen dancing in the street. At 2:32 a.m., Hernandez and his friends arrive at Lloyd's home, and Lloyd's sister sees him get into the Nissan Altima.
Just sloppy work, bro. You're being watched everywhere.
At 3:07 a.m., Lloyd sends a text
watched
to his
everywhere.
sister
It's like he notified the surveillance cameras.
And he responds,
I'm gonna be here.
NFL.
Well, I'm talking over the content.
You see who At 3:07 a.m., Lloyd sends a text to her sister stating, did you see who I am with? And he responds, NFL.
Little did Lloyd know that this would become his dying declaration too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just something about meeting up with Aaron that made him want to communicate to his girlfriend, like, yo, if anything happens to me, just know I'm with NFL. Huh? That's damn, yo.
At 3:23 a.m., Hernandez's car is seen driving to a secluded area in an industrial park. Hernandez returns home, this time without Lloyd. And we see Hernandez walking through his home carrying what looks to be a firearm. And the home surveillance footage is then shut off. Odin Lloyd's body would be found shot in the industrial park. And on June 26, 2013, Hernandez would be arrested outside of his home and would be charged with first-degree murder. Throughout the course of the trial, various other incidents in Hernandez's past came to light, including the 2013 Miami shooting of Alexander Bradley, the 2012 Boston double homicide, and other altercations throughout the course of his football career. In the 2012 double homicide, Hernandez was acquitted of the murders after a 6-day deliberation by the jury. However, according to the Boston Globe, there was powerful evidence that Hernandez was at the scene and played a role in their deaths. And on April 15, 2015, a verdict was reached in the murder of Odin Lloyd.
What say you, Madam Foreperson? Is the defendant not guilty, guilty of murder in the first degree, or guilty of murder in the second degree?
Guilty of murder in the first degree.
Madam Foreperson, by which theory
just threw his life away.
Deliberate premeditation,
iconic moment.
Extreme atrocity or cruelty.
Extreme atrocity or cruelty.
Hernandez would take his own life. Hernandez's brain would be researched by Boston University, and they would find that Hernandez had stage 3 CTE. Researchers described Hernandez as having the most severe case they had ever seen in someone of Aaron's age. This led many to believe that his actions may have been directly caused by his severe form of CTE.
I remember that. That controversy still hasn't been addressed, but...
Long ago, football was a game for heroes. That hero came forth. His mother named him Orenthal. The press called him OJ. And later, millions hailed him simply as the...
But like, yo, I ain't gonna front. Let's talk about it for a little bit, right? Boston doctors, examined his brain and realized that he had stage 3 CTE when they did their studies after, obviously, he passed away. And it brought up that conversation like, yo, are his actions excusable because of this mental condition? And it's like, it's a tough pill to swallow because on one end, you could look at his actions and be like, well, there are other players in the NFL that have CTE, knowingly or unknowingly, and they haven't went to the result of violence. But when you look at some of the test studies from CTE and the damages, the physical damages it causes to the brain and, you know, triggers depression, feeling of loneliness, anxiety, anger, fright. It's like all the emotions that they're like protective emotions are like kind of like high. I always thought it was controversial. The NFL is in a big problem when it comes to the CTE situation, but it's kind of hard for you not to feel like, bro, this dude is in the prime of his career. He's worth about $50 million. Why would he kill Lloyd himself? You know what I'm saying? Like, if he has all the resources and the money, like, what was it about Lloyd that he wanted to make it personal? Because he could have paid, like, he drove in a car with those two flunkies, bro. It would have been nothing for him to hand them, you know, not, you know, a little 50 P's. Yo, take care of this for me. I mean, but for him to do it himself and put himself in a situation where he's first degree murder, it just, listen, I'm not living in the mind of a killer, but it just didn't seem like it made sense. It was sloppy. You know what I mean? Like, as you can see throughout the entire surveillance, I felt like I was there. I felt like I was there that night. He literally did everything to say, look at me, I'm about to kill a man. You know, so I don't know. You guys can leave in the comment section what you think about the Aaron Hernandez situation, but I don't think it's right that we just necessarily dismiss CTE, man. It's coming up a little bit too much for me when it comes to these athletes. And the NFL is not doing enough to get in front of it and talk about it where everybody feels comfortable about it. You know what I mean? It still seems like it's something that they're like, you know, brushing under the rug.
In a case that seemed to have exhausted all of its shock value. O.J.
Oh, this O.J.
formally charged with a pair of gruesome murders, is a fugitive tonight.
I really don't know too much about this O.J. story.
Right now. The murder charges allege that Simpson stabbed Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman with a knife on Sunday night outside Mrs. Simpson's house in the Brentwood section of Los Angeles.
Is he on the run? The news stuns the world that had come to know Simpson as an American success story.
He calls Simpson, quote, a statue in the park kind of hero.
We saw perhaps the falling of an American hero.
There's a manhunt underway in Southern California, and O.J.
I was like
Simpson,
6 when this happened.
46-year-old former football star, one of America's best-known personalities, faces the possibility of the death penalty.
Holy. He's facing DP?
Absolutely. Again, Pat, at this point, it is a pursuit. And
iconic moment.
It has a lot of mitigating circumstances because of the
OJ was on the
high
loose.
profile of the proposed suspect that's inside the vehicle, which could possibly be and appears to be at this time O.J. Simpson.
6 patrol vehicles on his ass, bro, and he wasn't pulling over?
Obviously, the Jets did not want to be the team that let O.J. get the record, but
I thought he was an all-time rusher. That's on and off the field.
Period, he got a chance to go for 2,000, and he had a chance to get to the showers a little early this afternoon as Buffalo went on to a 34-14 victory.
One of the greatest to ever play the game. He wore his favorite number, 32. Tonight, O.J. Simpson wears a different number. The number assigned to him at L.A. County Jail.
On June 1994, Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman would be found brutally slain at the doorsteps of her own home. As police and detectives arrived on the scene, they discovered alongside the bodies of Brown and Goldman a blue knit cap, a left-hand extra-large leather glove, and a bloody set of footprints through the back gate, and some drops of the assailant's blood. Upon realizing that one of the victims was Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J. Simpson's ex-wife, detectives were sent to notify O.J. of her murder and for him to pick up their children. They waited outside Simpson's residence for nearly 30 minutes, but there was no response. Detectives noticed his car was parked in an awkward manner, and there was blood on the car door's handle, which caused the detectives to believe that someone was in immediate danger, and entered Simpson's property and discovered the right-handed glove matching the left-handed glove found at the crime scene. Simpson was brought in for questioning and was asked to supply a DNA sample to compare with what the investigators found at the crime scene. Simpson readily agreed and gave some blood for it to be tested. The DNA results had come back, and Simpson was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The LAPD had notified his lawyers and expected him to surrender by noon that day, but when the time came, Simpson was nowhere to be found. He had fled and was now on the run.
Oh.
3 seconds. Violation called.
Found his DNA's on a glove and this man still beat them charges.
This is a Channel 5 News special report.
There is a rather amazing story developing in Los Angeles this hour where California Highway Patrol is in pursuit of a white Ford Bronco, a car that was reported to be one that might contain O.J. Simpson and a friend earlier today.
And he was with those people this morning when he was supposed to turn himself in, when he was supposed to go with the policeman down to Parker Center.
The white Ford Bronco cruised at a measly 35 miles per hour. Simpson was armed and in a mentally fragile state, and police were careful not to escalate the situation. The chase lasted nearly 45 minutes and ended at his Brentwood estate, where he finally surrendered and was taken into custody. What would follow would be one of the most notorious and controversial criminal trials in American history.
To say the least.
How do you plead to counts 1 and 2?
Absolutely 100% not guilty.
And do you?
There he was, once one of America's greatest heroes, standing before a judge, charged with the most brutal of crimes, double murder. It was the first of many days in court, which are sure to come.
The filthiest, dirtiest, nastiest word in the English language. It will upset the black jurors. It'll issue a test, it'll give them a test, and the test will be, whose side are you on? The side of the white prosecutors and the white policemen? Or are you on the side of the black defendant and his very prominent and capable black lawyer?
Not every African American feels that way. It's demeaning to our jurors to say that African Americans cannot hear these offensive words.
It's not like you're really listening to their words, because you key on what's the truth and what isn't.
Detective Furman, was the testimony that you gave in this case completely truthful?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Detective Furman, did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
You gonna say nothing? Fifth Amendment.
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Look at that, bro. And you know the situation, bro. Like, if you ain't do something, like, come on, man. Like, we know the game. If you ain't do something, you 100% sure you didn't do something, why are you implementing your Fifth Amendment right, bro? You know what I'm saying? And that's all you need, probable cause.
People would ask that Mr. Simpson step forward and try on the glove recovered at Bundy as well as the glove recovered at Rockingham.
Wow, that's where it came from.
If I put this knit cap on, who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap. And if you look at O.J. Simpson over there, O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Los Angeles.
Jeez.
In the matter of the people of the state of California
Johnny
versus
was on one.
James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
This one situation, this trial elevated Johnny Cochran to GOAT status. In the early 90s, everybody was running to Johnny Cochran to get him beat every type of charge, bro. Like, he was goated because of this case, man.
O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in the murder of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. The trial had quickly become
It's crazy.
an
I
issue
forgot
of
2 people
race
died.
rather than the evidence that links Simpson to the crime. And the majority of African Americans today, 57% and 83% of white Americans, believe that Simpson did commit the crimes in question. In 1996, the parents of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown's father filed a civil lawsuit against Simpson for wrongful death. In 1997, Simpson was found responsible for both deaths on February 4th, 1997, for $33.5 million. In 2000,
How was he found responsible for both deaths and never got? Yo, bro, the judicial system will forever crack my head, bro. He's like, he beat the murder charge, but yet they was able to find him guilty or responsible for their deaths in a civil suit. What?
2007, Simpson was arrested for armed robbery and was sentenced to 33 years in prison. Simpson was released in 2017 and is now a free man.
Oh, lit. Well, I'm gonna end the video here, man. Like, stories like this is just crazy, man. And it makes you wonder, man, if OJ, like, when OJ finally passes, you think they're gonna examine his skull to see if he had CTE? I highly doubt it, bro. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. I rock with you if you rock with me. Subscribe is the vibe, man. Yeah, it's a wrap. I'm gonna check you guys out on the next episode. I'm out.